Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the last lecture, if you have gone through the last lecture very carefully, you will connect with today's lecture very easily. And then we'll move forward with some of the other new concepts so that it becomes easy for us. So in the last lecture, just for a quick revision, we had seen the concepts of producers, we have seen the concepts of primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, scavengers, and what do you mean by uh, the nectrovorous? What do you mean by frugivorous? So if you have gone through these concepts very clearly, it would be a good idea. If not, you can just follow the link given below and you can just look forward for the past lectures. So we'll start today with a new concept, and that is called as decomposers. So just you can go back and just remind up yourself कि हमने कहा था carnivorous, especially the scavengers, are sometimes called as decomposers. Okay, so that was a last part which we had discussed. That scavengers can also be called as decomposers, but it was can also be called. It is not compulsory that they are called as decomposers. They are sometimes working as decomposers. But आज हम difference देखेंगे क्यों. रीजन इज बिकॉज स्कैवेंजर्स, जैसे हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में डिस्कस किया था, आर समथिंग animals or some animals, some kind of animals or organisms which survive on the remaining of the dead body. Okay, on the other hand, they clean the material at the same time, but decomposers are having the capacity to survive on two different habitats, two or three different kind of habitats, and today we are going to see how decomposers work and what is the difference between a decomposer and a scavenger. So scavenger can be called, but it is not compulsory that it is a decomposer. So it can be called a decomposer. Okay, but decomposers organism काफी different होते हैं. So we'll start. So decomposers are basically the organisms which survive on other organisms. Okay, so it is again a heterotroph. So if you rewind up yourself, you'll know that हेट्रोट्रॉफ्स कौन से ऑर्गेनिज्म होते हैं जो दूसरे ऑर्गेनिजम्स पे सर्वाइव करते हैं, उन्हें हम हेट्रोट्रॉफ्स कहते हैं. So they are also heterotrophs, but what kind of heterotrophs and why are they then called as decomposers is for the reason because they do not directly survive on or they do not directly take in the food of other depending on other organism. जैसे कि हमने देखा था lions या फिर shark या फिर wolf या फिर vultures, they directly take in the food. Okay, they directly consume the food. What decomposers do? Decomposers settle down themselves on the heterotrophs, that is decaying material, sometimes living material also, and what they do, they take in the food, they ingest the food by absorption material. Henceforth, they are called as decomposers. Reason is because they survive on the organism. Either this organism can be a living organism or either this organism can be a dead, decomposing, decaying dead body. But what they do not directly feed or they do not directly eat, but rather they absorb the food material which is present in that animal or that organism. Okay, absorption कैसे किया जाता है? They stick on themselves to that food material or organism from which they have to take in the food or absorb the food, and this is called as decomposers. Okay, so decomposers हमने देख लिया और scavengers हमने देख लिया. So scavengers और decomposers में basic difference क्या है? Scavengers act as decomposer but they feed on the food material present around it, that is meat which is left over. On another hand, decomposers क्या करते हैं? They usually settle down on an organism and they feed not directly but actually like a plant, that is they absorb the material slowly which is present in the organism, that is called as decomposers. So what can be an example of decomposer? For example, fungi or parasite. It is basically a kind of decomposer. One more thing, somewhere in the news or maybe some kind of articles you have read or you might have heard that just choose the uh, food products very carefully, right? So that is one more reason, because some kind of decomposers may there be present on the food products which are there in moist areas. So these moist areas, food products usually have the decomposers present on them, and henceforth it is being always suggestive to collect the food material very carefully or clean the food material very carefully. So for example, you can find अगर आप देखें तो especially during the rainy season or when it is very marshy land area, बहुत ज़्यादा wet land area जहाँ पे होता है, वहाँ पे क्या दिखता है कि wood log जो होगा, either the wood log can be a living, that means a plant is living, or the plant is being broken down and it's now in a decaying and decomposing matter. अब ये इस wood log पे आपको small growth, fungal growth दिखेगी, and that is called as a decomposition process or working of decomposers. Similarly, many decomposers also act as a parasite. That means they feed on their host without killing the other host. बट ये काम कैसे करते हैं? तो बेसिकली दे वर्कड इन सपोर्टिंग सिस्टम टू ईच अदर. दैट मीन्स द decomposer will help the organism to absorb some kind of material, and in turn the food material which is absorbed from this plant or this organism, what they will do, they will let the parasite or let the fungi to grow on itself. अब ये क्यों किया जाता है? इसे हम symbiotic relation कहते हैं. ये किया जाता है so that one can help each other at a particular process, and these are called as parasitic decomposers. Some fungi, mostly we can find in the areas where the body is in decaying state, that fungi or that decomposer is called as a saprobic decomposer. That means they survive on the dead material but do not eat it. They suck the food material or chemical components present into the inside the dead body. That is called as saprophobic. So you have to keep in mind these concepts, that usually the decomposers absorb the food material, they do not eat the food material. The second important thing, they can survive either on dead material but they do not eat it, they only suck the chemical material, and that is called as saprobic. On another hand, some kind of decomposers, for example fungi, they grow on the living organisms also, and that is called as a host organism, and that particular decomposer will be called as a parasitic decomposer. Okay, so basically decomposer का काम environment में या फिर ecosystem में क्या होता है? They help to recycle. Now think about it, अगर wood log या फिर dead body in a jungle is there and it does not go into the process of decomposition, that means it does not go into the process of breaking down. So decomposition का मतलब ही होता है that your parts, the food material which is present in the body parts of that particular plant gets divided, broken down into simpler forms. Okay, and this simpler form again is something called as carbon and water and minerals. So ये काम कौन करेगा? This work will be done by the decomposers. So decomposers usually help in recycling process. So they are usually the recyclers. We'll go with the next concept. The next concept is quite interesting, and that is called as demography. So demography usually हम सब लोगों को पता होता है, but verbally ये word हमें पहली बार introduce हुआ है. That is, demography means a study of population. Now what kind of population? So that is the difference. So if you are studying a kind of population of human being, so that is a demographic study of human population. If you want to study something, a population of animals, particular kind of lion, particular kind of tiger, particular kind of birds or insects, that will be called as demography of lion, demography of wild lion, demography of tigers, demography of birds, organisms, etc. etc. Okay, but demography basically is divided in some different parts also. So for example, if you are trying to study the demography of human, you can study the demography in two forms. First form is a population study. That means you are actually counting on the human being, जिसे हम population count कहते हैं या फिर population census कहते हैं. That is a population study or demography study of human population. So what usually is done in this kind of study is a area is being selected, and in that particular area the particular count of human beings is being done. So that is a simple form कि एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया में पर्टिकुलर ह्यूमन बीइंग सोसाइटी कितनी सर्वाइव करती है. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज statistical population study or statistical demography of that human colony. But it also can be done with the help of another form, and that another form is called as a social demography. Now social demography means what? A demography which studies the human existence or human colony by dividing it into different criteria. For example, economy or social, cultural value, biological values, educational values, nationality, religion, ethnicity. जब हम इन parts में उसे divide करेंगे, that will be called as a social demography. Now I'll just give you an example so that it becomes easy for you. If I say go and count on the number of human population in your colony, that will be called as a statistical demography. Okay, या फिर formal demography. But अगर मैं कहूँ go and study and count on the number of males, then females, then children also having male and female. Next, what you have to consider in this population count? Number of female working, educated, number of number of male working, educated. Next, I will be telling you, you have to ask them or you have to write down or note down what is their religion, what is their ethnicity, that means what culture do they follow, what is their nationality. Next one, I will tell you, you have to also study their social background. That means are they very much educated or they less educated or somewhere mediocrely educated. How many people in that particular family is educated? What kind of job are these people doing? So what I am telling you is you have to categorize the population. ओके सो मैंने आपको क्या कहा था, आपको पहले एक कॉलोनी लेनी है और एक कॉलोनी में ह्यूमन कितने हैं उसे काउंट करना है. बट मैंने आपको ये नहीं कहा था कि आपको क्या काउंट करना है. दैट मीन्स मेल काउंट करने हैं सिर्फ या फीमेल काउंट करने हैं या फिर मेल चिल्ड्रन या फिर फीमेल चिल्ड्रन ना. मैंने सिर्फ कहा था आपको ह्यूमन काउंट करना है. बट अगर मैं कहती हूँ कि पर्टिकुलर कॉलोनी लेनी है और उसमें से ह्यूमन काउंट करना है, बट ह्यूमन काउंट कैसे करना है आपको? विद द हेल्प ऑफ age, religion, their nature, that is male or female, their education, their income, their culture, their religion, their nationality, तो हम इसे कहेंगे social demography. Okay, so formal demography होता है सिर्फ population count करना, and social demography होता है on the basis of ethnics criteria जो society ने हमें दिए हैं उस पे अगर count होता है तो that will be called as a social demography. Clear? So demography means, in a simple sentence, count or study of population statistics of human beings. Okay, especially human beings. हाँ, demography आपको याद रखना है human beings के लिए. So that is population or census count or statistical count of human beings. But this demography basically takes place in two forms. One is called as formal demography and the second one is called as social demography. Formal demography means what? Measurement or population count on the basis of only counting on the numbers of humans in the particular area, particular society. But social demography means counting on the humans or the population of human in that particular society or particular area with regards to economics, socials, nationality, religion, education, biological needs, etc. etc. That is called as demography. So next move on to the second concept. Clear with the first concept? Now the second concept. Second concept usually हम लोगों को पता होता है but थोड़ा सा tricky part होता है and that is called as dendrochronology. So have you seen over any time a bark which is cut and अगर आप bark को या फिर किसी बड़े bark को ट्री के बार्क को ऑब्जर्व करेंगे तो आपको उसमें रिंग्स दिखेंगे. And what does these rings signifies? The ring signifies the age of that particular plant and that is called as dendrochronology. So what do you mean by dendrochronology? It is nothing else but the study, a scientific study method of counting on the age of a plant with the help of tree ring present in the bark is called as a dendrochronology. Okay, simple word में याद रखना है. डेंड्रोक्रोनोलॉजी का मतलब होता है ट्री रिंग को काउंट करना, जो कि एक साइंटिफिक मेथड है. एंड व्हाई आर वी काउंटिंग ऑन दिस ट्री रिंग? बिकॉज इट सिग्निफाइज द एज ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लांट. But there might be some conceptions or some exceptions to it. For example, changing on the climatic condition, changing on the atmospheric condition, changing on the durations of that viability of plant, the age of the plant can vary. Okay, so even though it is a very scientific method, what you have to study first, you have to look forward which plant you are going to age. So each and every plant cannot be aged similarly according to the rings. For example, अगर मैं आपको कहूँ कि आपको नीम प्लांट एज करना है, तो नीम प्लांट को एज करने के लिए ट्री बार्क्स ठीक है, फाइन, दैट विल बी इजी. सो यू कैन एज दैट पर्टिकुलर family of neem plant. But if I tell you that you have to age the neem plant and you have to age the plant of Nilgiri, so that will be different because they have different habitat, they have different atmospheric climatic conditions in which they grow, which they survive, which they intake. That is called as dendrochronology. So dendrochronology basically is a scientific method. हम इसे scientific method इसलिए कहते हैं because it is one of the kind of radio dating. Okay, so it is basically सिर्फ हम rings count नहीं करते हैं, तो हम क्या करते हैं, rings को count करके we study with the help of radiologies and henceforth it is one of the scientific method. Now tell me, if dendrochronology means study of plant age, what is the method of studying the human or organism? So you have to find it out and you have to tell me in the comment section. So I'll just repeat the question once again. If dendrochronology means to check the age of a plant, what is the method to check the age of organism और ह्यूमन? फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे हम देखते हैं कि इजिप्ट में से ममीज निकाले जाते हैं या फिर ममीज क्लियर आउट होते हैं, नए नए ममीज मिलते हैं या फिर यूटेंसिल्स मिलते हैं या फिर ऑर्गेनिजम्स मिलते हैं बरीड कंडीशन में. इनका एज कैसे कैलकुलेट किया जाएगा? इनका एज डेंड्रोक्रोनोलॉजी से कैलकुलेट नहीं होता है. आपको मुझे बताना है कमेंट सेक्शन में इनका एज कौन से प्रोसेस से काउंट होगा या फिर उस मेथड को क्या कहेंगे. We'll go with the next process and that is called as ecological collapse. Okay, so ecological collapse आप इस situation के साथ काफी ज़्यादा co-relate कर पाएंगे. Ecological collapse मतलब होता है एक किसी भी ecosystem का या फिर किसी भी environment का all of a suddenly drastically खत्म हो जाना. That is called as ecological collapse. So ecological collapse means complete breakdown or complete removal or mass removal of a particular organism, and that is called as ecological collapse. So ecological collapse basically natural process होता है. This natural process helps to clean out a mask area. For example, आप ecological process या फिर ecological collapse को याद रख सकते हैं. That is, there is some kind of theories which explain that there was a sudden throwback, a sudden removal of dinosaurs. And this sudden removal of dinosaurs, that means complete orientation, complete ecosystem, complete एक कंप्लीट स्पीशीज निकल जाती है, डायनासोर्स की पूरी स्पीशीज. नाउ वी आर नॉट डिफरेंशिएटिंग दीज एज कार्निवोरस और हर्बीवोरस, नो, पूरे डायनासोर्स की स्पीशीज एक ही टाइम में खत्म हो जाना, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मास एक्सटेंशन और मास रिमूवल. और जब ये मास रिमूवल होता है, ये क्यों होता है? एक नेचुरल प्रोसेस की वजह से होता है, जिसे हम इकोलॉजिकल कोलैप्स कहते हैं. दैट मीन्स ऑल ऑफ अ सडनली द एनवायरमेंट चेंजेस, द एनवायरमेंट टेक्स अ टर्न टू रिमूव आउट द कंप्लीट organism or particular kind of species from the ecosystem, from the environment, to protect the environment. Okay, now this sometimes can be somewhere a useful process. On the other hand, it can be a disturbing processes also. So we can say ecological processes may be useful depending on the organism which is being actually removed out from the environment by the natural process, but sometimes can be disturbing also. So that is called as ecological collapse. One more assignment for you. You have to tell me what or which are the organisms, which you can find of course from the Google search, which are ecologically eliminated from the environment. You can't give me the answer of dinosaur because it is my answer. You have to give me a different answer. Please please give me your answer in the comment box. Let's move on with the new concept that is called as habitat. So habitat is not a new concept for you. If you remind of yourself or rewind of your memory just few lectures back, you will find हमने एक concept discuss किया था that is called as biotope. और biotope को discuss करते टाइम मैंने एक example दिया था that consider that I am asking you your address, home address. That home address will be called as habitat. और अगर मैं आपको college address पूछूं तो वो होगा आपका biotope. So habitat means an area or a place where an organism feels like a home. They can survive. They do not have much need for fight back. They do not have a very, that means they can easily survive. They usually get all the comfort things at one place, and that is called as habitat. For example, if a plant is at particular area or living or surviving in particular area, why does it survive over there? Because it has light, proper light, it has proper water, it has proper minerals, it has proper aeration, then only it can survive over there. For example, आप देख लीजिए, if you go for a particular plant which is a vegetation plant which can survive in lot of water only, for example lotus, you can't plant a lotus flower or a lotus bud in a deserted area. That is impossible. So वहाँ पे क्या आएगा? Habitat decide होगा. That means survival कहाँ पे हो सकता है? जहाँ पे आपको fruitful environment मिले, जहाँ पे आपको ज़्यादा healthy environment create हो जाए, आपके organisms जो आपके साथ रह रहे, maybe abiotic और biotic organisms, वो आपको support करे तो ही आप survive कर सकते हो. That is called as habitat. So a lotus can survive in water only. That is the habitat of lotus. On another hand, a cactus plant can survive easily in the desert area. That is a fruitful habitat for that particular organism. So habitat decides where you can survive. So you have to survive in your space, in your around surrounding with other organisms, and if they support you, you can survive easily. Henceforth, habitat is very important. Okay, so we have gone through few of the concepts like biotope and habitat. So you can't confuse on these concepts. बहुत ज़्यादा clear कर लीजिए इन concepts को. Next one is a very simple concept and we'll just quickly rewind it up. That is called as hazardous waste material, and it is not a new concept for you. So waste material which can be threatening to the life, to the public, to the environment, to the soil, to the land areas, to other organisms such as plants or animals or insects or any kind of scavengers. जो डिकम्पोज नहीं होते हैं easily, that is called as a hazardous waste material. For example, plastic is one kind of hazardous waste material which cannot be easily dissolved or resolved from the environment, and henceforth this is one of the hazardous material. So hazardous material does not only mean some substance which is present in a solid state, but it can be present in a liquid state also, it can be present in a gaseous state also. So hazardous material have a different kind criteria of uh, getting into the environment. So either the hazardous material जैसे हमने देखा था in a gaseous material, for example methane. लास्ट लेक्चर में हमने CFCS एक component देखा था. So CFCS has methane, propane. So these components basically are hazardous because they are in gaseous form and they can easily evaporate themselves. So that is a hazardous material. Solid form example, different kinds of plastic material or a particular kind of material which cannot decompose, or rather they stay on your land area for a longer time. Okay, that is solid hazardous material. Or liquid hazardous material, for example the industrial fluids which are removed out or thrown out of the industries which contain large amount of poisonous material. For example, some of the industries which are having a capacity of creating the radioactive material are thrown out into the land area. At the same time they have some components of oil in it, and they do not usually get absorbed in the land surfaces or land areas easily, and they keep on floating. So that is again one kind of hazardous material. So hazardous material basically something which cause a threat, that means to your physical environment, to your chemical environment, to your natural or abiotic environment or biotic environment, and they usually do not decompose easily, creating a solidifying material. Because they create a solidifying material, these are called as hazardous material. So we have gone through few of the concepts today. You have to note down the concepts very clearly, and whatever I have told you the assignment, you have to just give me the answers in my comment box. It is very compulsory so that I can understand that the concepts are very much clear to you. Also, if you have some problems with some of the other concepts, you can just ask me directly in the comment box. We'll just try to resolve all the problems. See you in the next lecture. Till then,